The National Dance Association is one of an organization called the American Alliance for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. You hear the teachers call it AFER. It isn't spelled that way, but that's how they say it. AFER is primarily an organization of physical education teachers. The dance portion of it is a rather small segment of about 1,000 to 2,000 people who are involved in dancing in colleges and where the high schools still have dancing, as well as a number of them are in dance schools and dance areas around town. So basically what they do is jazz, tap, modern, and performance dancing. Okay, each of the conventions that AFER holds, which is one national convention a year, plus 6 district conventions, plus 50 state conventions, as they have a dance chair. And it's up to the dance chair to decide what sort of dancing is going on in the National Dance Association portion of the program. All right? They really don't have a lot of stuff to offer that would be appealing to PE teachers. And so in 2002, we sat down together, the executive committee, the board of governors, said, okay, can we find areas that we can work together? And we went to the National Dance Association and said, what can we do? How can we help each other? Fran Meyer was the president at that time, and Fran's parents were square dancers. And both her parents died within days of each other. She went to her parents' funeral, and all of the square dance club showed up in costume. Impressed Fran enormously as to the impact and friendship and camaraderie that existed in square dancing. Okay, Board of Governors assigned me at that point in time to be the liaison, because I was the chairman of this committee at that point in time, to work and see what we could get done. We talked over a number of things. The first thing we did was we went to the school district of Colorado Springs, and we talked to someone there who was interested and was a square dancer, and we talked about a workshop. At the workshop, I had 30 teachers, 28 of which were PE teachers, and 2 which were music teachers. I used my normal 6 to 7 basics that I've used at the beginner workshop, and the first thing they told me when we had the evaluation was, we love the material, but you gave us too much. In other words, basically, most of the teachers felt they were totally overwhelmed with the amount of dancing going on. Well, I had 6 hours that day to occupy in order for them to get CE credit. And as I look back on the occasion, the answer was yes, I gave them too much. I gave them too many dances. I also probably gave them too many basics. And so I went back and I trimmed the list to 5. And from there, we started going to the idea of, well, why don't you come and make a presentation at the National Convention of AFER? Now, this is a convention, folks, that still has 7,000 to 8,000 people in attendance every year. They used to have 40,000, but their organization, like many organizations, has gone down in numbers. Their overall numbers in terms of membership are 20 to 22,000. And so basically we're talking at these conventions to the people, interested people who have the money and the resources to come to a national convention. And if a go-getter, PE teachers, the ones that are really good. I went to this most recent convention in Indianapolis, and one of the questions I've had over the years as I've made presentations is, all right, how do we get on the program? It turns out that there are hundreds of proposals that come in to the AFER National Convention for about 400 to 500 slots at the convention. The slots are about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, and they run on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and half a Saturday. They have a lot of things going on, a tremendous number of things. I appeared first at the Chicago convention, and I had about 85 or 90 teachers there. And we were a little corner off to one side. The next convention was at Salt Lake City. We were right in the middle of the total traffic pattern. I had 175 PE teachers on the floor in a room that I would say that isn't quite as large as this. I had 16 squares. I had it for an hour and 15 minutes. At the end of the hour, 15 minutes, I still had 16 squares on the floor and people in the seats all the way around. The materials in the middle of the floor disappeared in a rush. They took all my materials, all those handouts I had, and took them out and pitched them in the middle of the floor, and people scrambled for them. And I signed probably 20 or 25 certificates of education that the principals had sent along with those teachers to show that they'd come to a dance class. And I asked a couple of them about what was going on, and they said, oh yes, I'm going to have to teach a section in dancing next year, or this year, whatever it happened to be. One of the things I did at that convention is I went down and spent probably 4 or 5 hours in the vendor area looking for what was available in dance material. Dance-a-lot wasn't even there. There were records made by an old caller by the name of Ed Durlacher. Ed Durlacher put out 70 RPM records in the 1949, 1950, 1951 era. In New York, he called in Central Park to 4,000 dancers as part of what he did. And at that point in time, it was very popular and very modern and very well done. If you listen to those records today, you're going to go, ooh. I mean, you really are, because it's recorded with 40s technology on 78 records, which has been transferred to CDs. Now, if these PE teachers don't have, say, somebody like me to come and show them different dancing than they've seen before, what are they going to do? And I've got to tell this to the board, by the way, Sunday. What are they going to do? They're going to go down to the vendors on the floor and they're going to find Durlacher records and they're going to buy them. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to use whatever resource that they have that's going to meet the requirements of their school. All we can do is do a better job. I show them more modern music, not as modern as Mike uses, but I show them more modern music, and I show them dances. Now, the things that I've discovered in terms of teaching the teachers is that the average PE teacher wouldn't touch a mic with a 10-foot pole. Not mic, but this mic. Wouldn't teach a mic with a 10-foot pole. In fact, if you offer the mic to them, the color blur drains from many of their faces. The music they use in their gymnasiums is typically a boombox and CD records, and they'll take this little boombox and set it over here on the table, turn it up until it distorts to the place where you can hardly understand the music, and yell at the kids. That's what they do. Okay, I'm going to tell you something that don't have in this room. There are also people who come to these conferences, conventions, and teach that don't have anywhere near the knowledge that they need to have to try and communicate with PE teachers, and the PE teachers carry that back and do the same thing. The NDA is very well aware that this is occurring, and they're looking to us, frankly, for a solution. In other words, we can't prevent these people from coming and making proposals and getting into the program and teaching. But in my mind, what we can do is go to these conventions, put in a proposal, get the backing of the dancing people, and do a better job. Does that make sense? In other words, we can't legislate, but we can go and we can do a better job. And this is basically what I've been doing. For the last 8 years, I've been to 4 national conventions. I had a party in Fort Worth, a beginner dance party, that was done strictly for entertainment. I had 400 people, PE teachers, college professors, on the dance floor. We had the dance floor crammed as full as we could get it for 2 solid hours. I could dance about 100 to 120 at a time if I used contour lines. If I used squares, I could dance 16 squares. On the wood floor it was there. So my most efficient way to entertain people was line dances and contour dances. And then every once in a while I'd stick in square dances so I could tell the EC I had a square dance. You know. And the people for the next 5 days talked to me in the hallway, one after another, after another, after another, telling me, this is what we need. This is the stuff we need to have to take back to the schools. Okay? The average dance teacher, since they will not use a microphone, certainly we cannot expect them to become callers. And for a while I worked with this little group of 5 basics, and I worked with a sheet with 9 dances on the sheet. 4 of the dances were square dances, routines that I put on there. A couple of them were contra dance routines, a Sicilian circle, and a couple of other things. I've about discarded them because of the fact that I think kids need to swing. And if you're going to want to capture the youth, to be very plain about it, the boys and girls have got to get their hands on each other. And that's what happens in the swing. All right, the second thing, Betsy talked about, she uses calling style that we use in modern Western square dancing, and she doesn't use much pattern. Believe me, if you're going to have teachers teach the dances, you can get them to teach a pattern. You're not going to make extemporaneous square dance callers out of it. You're going to have to teach a pattern, which basically opens up what people can do, the type of things we can do. We're no longer restricted to using only 5 basics, which was kind of the tack that I was going down. And for right now, just so we have some interactivity going on, I'd like to have you come up and go on the floor, and I'd like to show you a couple patterns you haven't seen yet, okay? So we need 6 couples facing 6 couples, 6 men facing 6 ladies, or a mixture, whatever we happen to want to get, but I want contra lines. All right, on tunnel contra, everybody go forward and back. Pass through and U-turn back. Everybody go forward and back. Pass through and U-turn back. Okay? All right? Then the top couple goes down the center, and as they go down the center, the rest of you form a 2-hand arch behind them. All right? Lady come up the inside, the man come up the outside of the line. All right? Men go down the inside, lady go down the outside of the line. I don't care where you go, it doesn't make a difference. All right? Everybody swing. Okay. Now we're going to change something and give you an audible clue that's going to tell you what to do. What I want you to do is walk 3 steps forward, do a high 5, come back 3 steps and clap your hands twice. Ready in? 1, 2, 3, high 5, back, 2, 3, clap, clap. Okay? You've got an audible clue now as to what happens in 8 beats of music. Now we're going to do a pass through and a U-turn back, and at the end you're going to clap your hands 3 times. Pass through and a U-turn back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, clap, clap, clap. Like that, all right? Now let's put the 2 together. Everybody go forward and back. Pass through and U-turn back. All right? Okay, now see what we're doing? We're building up what happens in 8 beats of music. That's what we're doing. And this is a routine that I would recommend that you teach the PE teacher. The PE teacher will do that. So let's do it one more time. We're going to do 2 of them. Then we're going to add the last part of the dance. Everybody go, oh, whoops, you wait on me. I'm going to set the beat. Everybody go forward and back. 1, 2, 3, back. Pass 3 with a U-turn back. Everybody go forward and back. Pass 3 with a U-turn back. Okay, how many pieces of music have we used up at that point? 32. We're one time through the tune, through the A tune. Okay, now, you start down in the middle, and the rest of you go down, form the arch behind you. And the rest of it just runs. Let it come up the inside, and then go down the outside. Let it go down the outside, and then go down the inside. All right? Pass through and you turn back. Forward and back. Pass through and you turn back. Top and down. Top come slide down. Or behind it. Lady at the inside, man at the outside. Man down the inside, lady down the outside. Swing. Everybody go forward and back. Pass through and U-turn. Forward and back. Pass through and U-turn back. Top come on down the center. From the arch, lady up the inside, man up the outside. Swap. Swing. Okay, that's good. I think teachers would be able to teach that. I think kids love dancing. I've used it with kids, and particularly if I can get this hop couple going down the center and have the arches fall in behind it. It's almost a zipper effect as you go down the center. Once the arches are going, the kids normally run down through the tunnels. I mean, they run pell-mell down through the tunnels, through this set. Now, what's the advantage to the teacher? The teacher can teach the routine, start it going, and otherwise, and for a little bit of prompting here and there, those kids will have that routine just like that. All right? What are these things in terms of routines for the teacher? This is a gimmick. This is a gimmick that's going to stick in the kid's head. And so you can go in there and pick out the routine that goes along with barley and oats and make this thing work. All right, the teachers then are going to be able to put on the music, start the dance. The kids are going to know very quickly when they're supposed to be dancing and let the routine go and they can get out of the way. I think teachers will do this. In fact, I know teachers will do this. But they aren't going to do something that's going to be this way. All right, let's get into square real quick. Okay, we got one or more squares. Number one couple go out to the right, make a right-hand star. Go on to the next, make a left-hand star. Go on to the next, make a right-hand star. Everybody go home and swing. And on her section last year, she called this rolling stars. It's an old figure that works real good. You can eat up about 5 or 6 minutes of a record doing this if you do it with number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and then do circle left in the middle. And build a little routine about a simple little gimmick that's going on here. Another gimmick that works out real good is Arkansas Traveler. Number 1, gent, turn the right hand lady with the right hand around. Back to the partner with the left hand around. To the opposite lady with the right hand around. Back to the partner with the left hand around. To the corner lady with the right hand around. Back to the partner with the left hand around. All right? Okay, this is the Arkansas Traveler. Arkansas Traveler is an old figure. When I teach dancing, I teach it to every class I've ever taught. I use arm turns extensively where a lot of people no longer do. I think it's one of the most handy figures in the world. All right, if you get the kids where they go and do it, then we have 1 and 3 go out to the right. Turn the right hand lady with the right hand around. Back to the partner with the left hand around. 1 and 3 gents. I'll tell you to the opposite lady with the right hand around. Back to the partner with the left hand around. Okay? To the corner lady. They've got the routine down. Turn her. Back home and everybody swing. And then the frosting on top of the cake. All 4 gents to the right. Turn the right hand lady with the right hand around. Back to the partner with the left hand around. Opposite lady, right hand around. Back to the partner with the left-hander.
You can play.
Corner lady with the right hand around. Back to the partner in slip. Okay. All right. Okay. How much instruction has been included there? Detailed instruction? No. You've got a gym full of kids and you've got to get their attention. You give just enough instruction. Otto told me one time, he says, I get enough instruction so about 35% of the people have it. And he says, then I should put the music on and we dance. He says, by the time I get to the end of the record, and I found the same thing, by the time I get to the end of the record, 85% have got it. Okay, why arm turns? Because they are what I call an assisted movement. There's somebody of the two that chances are going to know what to do. All right? And if they don't, they're going to figure it out pretty quick. They're only going to make a few mistakes. Kids, you watch the kids, the high school kids, at these parties, not all will confirm that. They look around and they're watching somebody else. Oh, this is how I do it. Okay, let's get back into contour lines real quick. Then on one. OXOs are built around the figures that you form. Everybody go forward and back. Top couple sashay to the foot. Everybody go forward and back. Top couple sashay to the foot. All right. Top four, you're going to make an O, circle four. Bottom four, you're going to make an O, circle four. Center four, you're going to make an X, make a right-hand star. All right? Go 8 steps to turn and make a left-hand star. All right? Bottom four, sashay out. And you guys go to the foot of the set. I don't care how. Now, and everybody else slide up. All righty, kind of a piece of music for that? Okay. Huh? Forward back. Top couple, sashay down. Forward and back. Top couple, sashay down. OXO. The other way back. Bottom couple, sashay up. Go to the foot. Everybody go forward and back. Top couple, sashay down. Go forward and back. Top couple, sashay down. OXO, who does it? Other way back. Bottom couple up, quick. Bottom couple forward, bottom four third. Go to the foot. Hurry. Forward and back. Top couple, sashay down. Forward and back. Top couple, sashay down. OXO. Bottom two up. To the foot. Okay, what have we got that we can sell to education? This is a math exercise.
I like it.
This is a math exercise. There are national standards for teaching that include phrases such as, when I write for Hayward, that they are learning to proceed in lineal and curved paths. Isn't that wonderful word? That they are being taught to proceed in lineal and curved paths. And when they review my papers to go in for the national convention, they're looking for the words because that is one of the national dance standards. There are about, I don't know, 12 or 15. And what I have to do is pick one of those national dance standards out, cite it, give an example, and then I can do anything I want to dancing. With this, you can go to school administrators and say, this is why you should have square dancing. What was the little star pattern going around? A lesson in geometry. Okay? A lesson in geometry. All right? What I do different with my parties and what I do different when I teach is I include history. When I talk about the various dances, I say this came out, for instance, this little dance, OXO, is about 200 years old. And there were 3 or 4 OXO dances that came up. I've got 2 of them in the book. Betsy's got one of them listed here on the other one. The head couple goes sachets down and the bottom couple sachets up. And you go 100 miles an hour. Then the next one, the top couple sachets down and the bottom couple sachets up. And every time the X doesn't change by pairs, it changes by individual, by fours, it changes by individual pairs. So you not only have to keep track of, are you an OXO as a 4, but it's going to change every time you go through the pattern. This is a math problem. We have some teachers now in universities and whatnot. I've got to be over here where the camera is. We have some teachers now that are using dance pattern dances to teach math. I don't know how they're doing it, but it fascinates me. And the thing that intrigues me is if they can do it, we can do it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what I need out of you. All right? Go ahead and sit down. Thank you very much. Okay, Sunday, let me back up a little bit. On Sunday, I'm going to have to appear before the Board of Governors, and we're going to talk about the situation with the National Dance Association. As far as for the fact that Color Lab, over the last 8 years, has put about $10,000 into sending me to conventions to prove that this can be done. About 4 or 5 years ago, I put in a proposal to the executive committee that we should try and have a program where we had qualified square dance callers, rounds dance teachers, solo dance teachers, but for Color Lab, primarily square dance callers, to be on the program at each of the district conventions. Getting the slot on the district conventions is not near as hard as getting into the national convention. I found out as of a week ago when I met with the National Dance Association Board that I am extremely lucky to have gained entry on their program for 3 times. And I've also been, I think, probably extremely lucky to get to do the one dance party for them. Dudley Loftman did 2. But at the national effort, they want to spread the goodies around. And so, at this particular point in time, I'm going to have to do something different than square dancing to get back on the program. Now, the situation at the district level is completely different. Each of you live someplace in the United States. Canada, I'm sure, has the same situation. These organizations have their own little convention that draw people from about 200 miles around. I've been to one in Colorado, one in Overland, Kansas, and last year I went to Phoenix. And the teachers that I saw at each of these were different. You could get on their program by just getting on the good side of the dance chair. You don't have to write a paper. You don't have to go through an evaluation committee like you do at National. The Janice chair says, that sounds like it's a good thing that we want to have on the program and you're on. That includes any of you. And so, my word is, please, go talk to your local AFERT organization in your state, find out what district you're in, go talk to that district officer who is a dance chair, and propose that you come and do a dance. Now, what should you do? These are the things I'm telling you that I would do. It doesn't mean you have to do the same thing. You can do any mixture from all squares to whatever mixtures you want to have for that. You need to be able to write it up in a pretty good context because they're going to sit there with a written form and take a look at it and say, sure, we think that's something that can go in our program that would fit within what we want to do. I can tell you from going to Phoenix that there are times when they are desperate, because they had one instructor in Phoenix that taught the two-step as a gallop, taught the waltz as the same gallop, and taught ladies chain as essentially what we used to call ladies crossover by the opposite stand. No touching of hands, no courtesy turn, just go over there and stand. She had 3 sessions in Phoenix. We need to do a better job. And my plea is this. I've sat there and looked at my generation and the generation following mine. I'm a 50s high schooler. Okay, 1955 was my graduation date. Square dancing was rolling at that time. Square dancing rolled all the way through 1985, and then school suddenly decided about 1985 that it wasn't popular to teach dancing in schools. Where are these kids now in terms of age? If we don't restart the engine, and I do mean restart it from K1 through K12 into college, the pool of kids who learned how to dance as youth are in that middle gap of no dancing at all. Now, we've got some inroads that we can do that I think are very important. One of my delights that I do are father-daughter dances. I get the daughters, but I get daddies now, at that wonderful age, that get on the floor and dance with their daughters. But to me, the crucial thing is the PE teacher and the music teacher. We can get to the PE teacher only one way that I see is economical, and that's through effort. Getting on state programs is probably the hardest of all. District seems to have worked out great and no problem. Getting on state programs has been hard. I got on the state program in Colorado the first year through the efforts of Fran Meyer and a very famous recreation teacher who died recently by the name of Mark Harvey. Mark Harvey had recreation courses for years at a place called Metro State, which is in Denver. And Denver Metro State turns out some of the finest recreation leaders in the world. They have a worldwide recognized program. Mark worked with Fran, and I got the gig. There's only been one. And from what I heard from the people, from what I heard from the organizer, it's just a matter of politics. You know, I can't do it. I got one gig, but I have never appeared at a state convention. Bob has. He appeared up in Wyoming. Had a good session. One of the things I need to tell you, I spent 2 hours talking to a gentleman by the name of Dave Keel, who lives in
Cheyenne.
Larry?
Cheyenne.
Hmm?
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne. Dave Keel went to the head of education for the state of Wyoming, and he laid out a program for that state and convinced the head of education in Wyoming that it was going to be a benefit to the schools. At this point in time, Dave has a program to bring in the teachers in the state of Wyoming, and he teaches them primarily square dancing, and he sends them back with a package of music and specific dance pattern routines. The teachers teach the dancing, and then Dave comes in after the program has gone run and runs the dance for the schools. What a wonderful thing. I mean, that to me just appealed. What he was calling up to find out, he says we need to be able to figure out some way to make the music legal. We need to meet copyright laws and purchase mechanical licenses for that music. But the program's there and rolling and going. Doc Murdoch in Houston, autocorrect me. Doc Murdoch in Houston did this for years. He brought the teachers in. He had a package of records, and when they walked out the door, they had written material and they had the records. And he says, here's the bill. And those records, as far as I know, are still being used in Houston in the teaching system. Have I got it pretty much right?
Well, they were all 45s, and so all that equipment's gone.
Yeah.
They've had to convert them over to CDs.
Yeah. Okay, what is all this? In my opinion, it's outreach. It's outreach from our community to the community of teachers out there who are going to produce our next generation of dancers. And I don't know any other way to do it. You know, the only other way I can see doing it is what Mike Callahan is the head of the committee for teaching, for teachers, teaching in schools? Teaching schools.
Calling in school.
If every one of us took on 10 schools, it wouldn't be enough. If we could get PE teachers to take on 10 dances, it would be enough.